welcome to Choosing Acceptance podcast with your host, Marie Mason. I am here to share some success stories and tips on how to overcome your learning disability so that you can turn your talents into a career. And I love to inspire children and parents and teachers with learning disabilities to go beyond their limits so that they can make a bigger impact in the world. Schedule a call to become a guest on our show at calendly.com/Marie V. Mason. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Choosing Acceptance podcast. I am your host, Marie Mason. I am super excited to have a guest here for you today. And we have some great stuff lined up for you, and you don't want to miss it. Join us on each episode of the podcast to get some great resources that will help you to understand and embrace your learning difficulties or learning disabilities and turn your talents into a career. Because we're all about helping you figure out what your talents are and help you to make some money out of that. You just want to make money, right? So we love serving college students, teachers, business owners, and adults, whether you have a learning disability or just want to understand them. And we help you by providing you with some fresh content to educate, entertain, and engage your audience. So today's topic is bridging the gap of understanding with learning disabilities. And our guest today is Jessica Gould. Before we bring her up, we're going to do the top tips of the week, and then we'll go to our commercial break and bring her up. I'm Marie Mason. I am a business strategy coach. I run a mastermind group for online business owners where our members get to network, collaborate, and learn from one another in an exclusive environment. Our business academy takes a modern approach to business solutions by incorporating the latest technology and strategies to ensure that you hire a qualified team to handle your workflows. Welcome back to the Choosing Acceptance podcast with your host, Marie Mason. Today's guest actually is Jessica Gould. We just recently met. She's a great young lady who has a great business and a great topic for today's show. She is a legislative consultant for Gould Consulting, where she's also from California and LA, of all places. You all had a lot of interesting weather there this year, too. We might even bring that up later. But anyway, California's been hit hard with a lot of strange winter weather this year, so and other weather as well. So anyway, sir, and you actually are great at serving not just the state of California, but you serve all over the U.S., right?
Yes.
That's awesome. So basically, the whole point of her business is that she is giving the disability community the same voice on social issues regarding financial help from the government, which is super important that they have a voice. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about giving you guys a voice, right? Giving you also encouragement and understanding that you are enough, that you are possible, that everything that you can do is possible as long as you have the right tools and the right mindset, and also was focusing on whatever it is you want to do. You can achieve anything you want to do. It's as simple as that. So today's topic is about bridging the gap of understanding learning disabilities, because we've talked a lot about learning disabilities. We talked about how we're redefining the different learning disabilities, because I feel like people just don't get it. Some people are just not. If they don't have a learning disability, it's harder for them to understand that. That's why this topic is super crucial for today. So I would like to say, welcome, Jessica. Come on down and join the party. And so glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me, and I'm really excited for our conversation today.
Me too. I was really looking forward to today. That's probably why I stayed up late and went to bed early and got to bed early and all that fun stuff in between. So I'm living on adrenaline. Like, when you get excited about something that's, it doesn't sleep, doesn't matter, right? So anyway,
Exactly.
it's needed, but sometimes it doesn't matter in some cases. So really quickly, uh, let me give you the platform for just a minute or two and just explain a little more about how you help people give the disabilities community the same voice on social issues regarding the financial help from the government. Could you give us a little summary about how that looks like?
Sure. So basically, if you're an underserved population, and this could be in any minority group of race, ethnicity, orientation, or disability, the government works on a platform of if people need employment assistance, they automatically think all these minority groups are lumped in together. Everybody's always covered. No one has issues. And that is so not the truth. The disability community is unique in this space because multiple people can gain a disability. It's not it's not determined on race, it's not determined on financial aspect, it's not determined on any of these things. You can get a disability randomly walking down the street one day and getting hit by a car.
Which we hope
And
that
then,
does not happen. But yeah, that's
well,
just an
no,
example.
but
Yeah.
the idea of it is that this can happen to anyone, and you end up in this population, and the government just works on an assumption that everybody's covered, everybody's happy, there's enough finances to go around already, and that's often not the case. So I developed a concept that I train organizations that serve the population on how to utilize it and get their financial aspect in so they can continue to serve, whether it's in housing, employment, or direct services system, like working with the community itself in any aspect.
Good. And that's really needed because I feel it's more like you're bringing awareness to the government and to business companies to let them know that
Correct.
they need to serve this community and provide them
Correct.
the help that they need, right?
Correct. And then
Right.
it's not automatically just covered in okay and hunky dory. It's as it's in an equal need space as everybody else.
Right. Exactly. So that's brilliant. So that brings me to the next question. What we understand you sort of kind of alluded to the fact of why it's so important. But I want you to expand on that question of why this is important because, like you said, there's a need people are just not aware of. So could you explain that some more?
Certainly. So I'm going to use a very, very simple concept.
Sure.
Everybody likes to go out with friends, go to the store, go to the movies. When you have a disability, oftentimes that requires assistance of some sort to some extent, just so you can go live your daily life and have your daily activities. Now, that actually costs thousands of dollars. And there are systems in place nationally and in the disability space to provide those assistance. Yes, it has its ups and downs, but that's not what we're discussing today.
Another topic for another day.
That's enough. That's another topic for another day. However, without states recognizing the fact that a person with a disability does needs, basic assistance to get their day started, or like someone to help them do their grocery shopping. Without the assistance of state and federal governments, many people with disabilities wouldn't be able to even leave their home or even just do the basic activities of daily life. And even if they can, it's difficult for them.
I can
So,
imagine. Yeah.
so the whole idea of what I do is to point out that these are people just trying to live their lives, go to a job, run a business, go grocery, live a life. It's nothing extraordinary. But due to the need for assistance and other factors like that, they need the same consideration when states start to figure out the budget.
So you go to
And
bat for them.
yes, I go to bat for them and I train organizations that represent them on a technical level how to do this. It's called grassroots lobbying, and that's what I train.
Sweet.
I just perfected it. I took a concept that's been around since 1965, at least.
Wow.
Yeah. So at least the 1960s, I took it and I modernized it and I made it 20 times more effective.
Good. We need more effective solutions for this day and age, especially in this modern time. So, yeah, that's a great way to really help that community and help get their voice heard. Because one of the things that we actually talked about in one of our first seasons is your voice needs to be heard, and we need more people to step up. And the more people, what's the old phrase? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And it's still used today.
Yeah,
That phrase is still used today.
and
I
you
heard
know
it
what?
last week.
Oh gosh, so I'm not the only one. Okay, good. So it's still alive and current today. So the point is, if people don't know, and I even told it on another show about how to get help from your employers, like tools and stuff like that, then they might need to help be more productive at work. And one of the things I said, if you don't go out and voice your concerns and express your needs, and how are they going to help you? Okay. Maybe they have stuff that they can find for you. Maybe you can do some research and help them be aware of something and they can help you do it. Sometimes we need tools to do our jobs more efficiently. Because sometimes people need computers or special equipment. And in order to do that, the job should be able to reach in and provide that. And that way they can increase productivity, because if they're looking at, because some job situations might only look at it in a linear way, what we need to do is help them be more aware. That's, it's all about awareness, and really just help them realize that if you can tell them what it is that you need and express it in a certain way, and that's something maybe you can help them with that, then
Yes.
then we can help these companies understand this is a situation and this is how you can help them. And it's really about bridging that, like you said, bridging that gap of understanding.
Yeah.
That's the name of the title. Yeah,
it's
there you go.
bridging the gap.
There you go. So you want to
It's
tell us
bridging the gap.
exactly. So before we get into the next question, can you tell us what bridging that gap is like? Tell us what that means to find it.
I mean, I honestly tell my clients to look at a politician like they are clueless. And it's not in a bad way. But
that's a topic for another day I was thinking about. But anyway.
It's not in a bad way. It's that you're your expert in your field. You know what issues are faced for the population. The politicians know how politics work and what needs to be done to get anything passed. So you need to become an expert on your topic, whatever that topic is, because a lot of it is educating and conversating. That's what it is. You're the educational master in this situation. The politicians are the ones that can take your knowledge and help turn it into a policy, funding source, whatever the case may be.
Exactly. I used to educate people about my learning difficulties. I have an auditory perception. And one of the things I had to sit there and do is explain it. Try doing this when you're in elementary school and a kid and you're in the 70s and growing up in the 70s where kids were seen and not heard. And I was the vocal one. I wasn't like loud and obnoxious about it, but I was very clear and direct. And I, well, sometimes beat around the bush. But anyway, the long story short of it is I always got the point across. And that was educating people. I educate them about my allergies, what to look at before this is now, but now there's such a big awareness of allergies, it's almost overkill on the opposite end. And people used to think, well, she has auditory perception, so they would raise their voice and try to speak louder. And they're like, you clearly don't know what this is. I hear you excellent. In fact, I've got excellent hearing. What it is I process the information differently. So once I explained what that information is and defined it for them, then they were, which I've explained already on several other episodes, so I won't get into it today. But once I was able to do that, then I was able to make them understand how to work with me too. And that's the key, is how to work with somebody.
Again, I call it bridging the gap, but that's literally what you were doing there.
Yep.
You're giving them the information so they could then help you better.
Right.
And that's all these conversations really are. Is no one knows everything. It's impossible. So you have to really honestly work together and understand that it is working together.
And you have to be willing to work together. I think that's the other part of it.
Yes, absolutely.
And what are the benefits of helping bring these social issues to your like government legislative representatives, like state representatives?
Well, I call it you're killing some myths. So in the process, you're killing some myths and assumptions that have been around for decades. Like I said, it's a myth to think that just because a person's disabled, they're automatically financially taken care of. They automatically don't need a house. They automatically don't need a job. They automatically don't need the things that 90% of the world needs to even survive. So it's killing that myth and taking them out of this specialized category that's automatically kind of existed for decades. And saying, regardless of disability, these are still people. And they face the same issues as everybody else. That's why I said I call it social issues, because that's what it is.
Yep.
I mean, I live in the state of California, and California has a housing crisis, whether you're disabled or not. So that's what I mean. Like, these issues are not new. But it's bringing the disability community into those conversations and giving them the same platform. Not a bigger one, not a better, well, maybe a better one, because I've come up with a pretty good way of fighting through it, but it's definitely not better, or bigger. It's not taking away from other equally deserving populations. It's not an us versus them. It's a include us in these conversation situations.
True. That's a good point. And it's important that you bring the awareness so that you can get the help.
Absolutely.
The next one is really about good segue. You told me earlier that you get this question a lot. I think you know what I'm going to say. So what is this process for getting social awareness? Is it specific to a state, or is it kind of for U.S. wide?
So it is not. I did a lot of I call it my training in California. There were a lot of state organizations looking for people. So yes, I did what I call my on the ground boots training here in California. However, it is not isolated to the state of California. About a month ago, I did a presentation on Zoom for an organization that serves across the nation.
Global.
Yeah. And in the disability space. So this is not isolated to California. California is the one I live here. So people in California said, come help us. We need your assistance. but the actual concept of grassroots lobbying and the disability rights movement, which is part of what I do, is a nationwide thing.
Okay. Are you follow-up question. Are you a part of a group? Are you associated with a group that helps with that?
So, I call myself the ultimate interconnector. So what I have done is at this point, and this is in California, but I can do it outside of the state of California, is I am connected into state organizations, connected into housing, employment, disability services specifically, the state organization in California that's responsible for oversight of the population. So I am completely connected inside the state of California, but I also can do that outside the state.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to follow. That's a good follow-up question because it kind of related to that. Because I know that you can get involved with other groups like that.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
if you want to get involved and make a difference like yourself, then definitely get involved. So that's one way to get involved.
Absolutely. I
Didn't
mean,
think about that as an angle, but yeah, that's a
my,
perfect point.
my company works on collaboration. In all reality,
Yeah.
if people ask me, I tell them I have 15 invisible partners. And
My goodness, how do you keep track of them?
and
Very
it's
organized, right? So
it's just being willing to have open converse. The key to anything when you want to make social change is being willing to having the open conversation of this is what I'm seeing. What are you guys seeing on your end? And having that honest and open back and forth where you're not judging the other party.
yeah, there's no place for judgment. Unfortunately, the world is at that place now where it's extremely judgmental.
Unfortunately,
And we
yes.
need to, and we, people like you in this group, in this organization, and this movement needs to help change that. And then I will guarantee you, if we change people's perspectives on that, on social issues like this and others, if we change how we can be less judgmental, the way we're supposed to treat each other with respect, with dignity, and regardless of what what they're dealing with, you'd be surprised what a difference the world will be in the next year to 5 years to 10 years down the road.
Exactly.
I'm one of those long-term planners and thinkers. And whatever we're creating now is going to have a ripple effect, and it's going to take time, but it will build momentum. If you think about it, TV was not something that was a household name. It took a while for that to get going. Once it got going and had built that momentum, every household practically has TV in it now. And same with computers. It took a while for computers to get that threshold. And then radio back in our parents' days, that was the main form of entertainment, was radio. And not everybody had a radio. It took a while for that to become a thing. Now it's more TV or other or computers, so we can have our own personal stuff. So the long story short of it is, it's going to take momentum and time, but it's going to take a community of people who want to be change makers, who want to make a difference, whether you have a learning difficulty or not, but you're supportive of that change. Let's all link arms together and make that change.
Exactly.
Is that pretty much what we're thinking?
Pretty much. Pretty much. That is exactly what we're thinking. Because at the end of the day, no matter what our differences are, especially in the disability space, we actually have more in common than we think.
Right. But at the same time, a lot of that goes to the food and shelter. It doesn't always go to the other extras that we need.
Yeah.
And if you're on a disability, you don't always make as much as a person who is an average person. So, and I hate to say it, women still to this day in 2023 still make less than men.
No, yes.
So,
I mean,
yeah, not to be a gender issue, but it is a concern.
It is a very real concern.
Yeah. So, and people don't, and the government doesn't see that. They see black and white figures.
That's why I called it bridging the gap. and
Yeah.
not filling it and not fixing it, because a lot of these issues are long standing. Like, let's be honest. So I'm not saying my technique will magically fix 150 years of wrongdoings and all this. No, but it will start the conversation going in the direction it should have been.
Right. That's awesome. And we had talked about how you've joined collaborations, 50 of them around your disabilities and finances. And one last quick follow-up question with that. How did you find them, those collaborations?
So this is what's interesting. I went to one or so in 2012.
That's a long
Seriously.
time ago.
So 2012, the state of California has what's called regional centers here. And they're part of the initial disability rights movement in the 1960s. They were developed to help detangle the process of funding from federal government to state. They were created to help bridge that gap. I joined their board in 2012 because I was hearing things from the public that made no sense in the state of California. That was the only board in my life that I openly said, there's something wrong here. I need to go fix it. The next thing I knew, I was getting emails. So people were emailing me applications to other state boards.
Oh, wow. How many
And
state boards do you have? Yeah.
Well, I volunteered with 3. So in the state of California, you have the regional center system, you have the Department of Disabled Services, DDS, or Department of Disability Services, sorry,
Okay.
DDS, and State Council on Developmental Disabilities. These are the 3, I call them the 3 overseers within the state of California. And I mean, if I can do a small plug here, if this group wants to know more about what that is, I have an interview on my YouTube channel where I'm actually interviewing these people and asking them essential questions to why this all happens.
Okay.
But so I only volunteered for one of the state organizations or state adjacent organizations, which is the regional center in my area. There's 21 of them throughout the state. So I did the one in my backyard.
Good.
And then I was getting requested by other state organizations. But like I said, this wasn't me going out and saying, I'm going to go fix everything. This was people coming and floating applications to me.
That's
And I
amazing.
thought to myself, my whole question was, in the state of California, there are laws here that are unique to the state as far as disability, and people don't know about it. So my question back then is, well, why don't they know about it? The mechanisms are here. They worked very hard to get the mechanisms here.
What's the problem?
So why don't people know about it? And that became my big beef for like 6 years. And I found out that there's a lot of bureaucracy involved and red tape of why they can't just go out and give out a bunch of information. Also, why my company exists. I act as a connecting piece to everybody because I have no agenda. So it's just, this information needs to be out here. If you guys are stuck, they're comfortable enough giving it to me, and so I hand it out to other people. And that's, again, where the collaborations come in.
Yeah. Because you need help spreading the word. And it's much easier when you have a collaboration partner that has something in stake with that. And
Exactly.
so it makes it much more easier to get out there. So that's good. The next question that sort of leads into it is, what is the one thing I could accomplish before I would exit my business? For example, before you walk away from your business model, or before anyone walks away from their business, after they've established it, been in it, and they're like, okay, I'm ready to move on to something new chapter in my life. What is it, the one tip that you can accomplish before they exit? Because you want to be able to leave that lasting impact, that legacy behind.
Well, I recognize that what I work on is going to take decades and decades of change. But what I want to have happen is there was no platform for someone to stand on and do this. It's kind of like creating the dance floor that everybody dances on. And then it's a floor that gets all scuffed because people just come to this dance spot and make up new dances all day long. But that's what I feel like I'm building. I'm building the floor, I'm building the room, I'm building the
foundation,
the atmosphere that will be forever used.
You're building that foundation to set
Yes.
the tone for the rest of it.
Yes. And where people take it after I'm done, whether that's because of natural causes or I get, tired of it, who knows? The foundation will be forever there.
That's good deal. Foundation. No, I love it. So it is really important to get a foundation. That's really what the whole point of my business academy is too. So building that foundation, you need a strong foundation, no matter whether it's a organization like yourself, where you're helping people do creative ways. But whatever it is you're trying to do for others, you always want to have a clear foundation and a clear end. Like I said, we got to begin with the end in mind and make sure we know where we're leading people to. So in this case, it's bringing awareness to the government about needing financial help and giving people with learning difficulties and disabilities a platform, because they need a voice. They need someone to speak up for them. And actually, it's so funny because one of the things I was thinking about doing is helping create a voice for learning disabilities, but I haven't even mapped out what that looks like yet. So that's a long-term planning. So maybe even I need to sit down afterwards and talk about that. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So the last question I need to ask is, you have a gift for our audience. Would you like to share what that gift looks like and how they can reach you?
Yes. So I recognize that when people hear the word consultant, they think it's thousands and thousands of dollars and not obtainable by the average public. My company actually works on the opposite end of the world, where I want this to be obtainable to anyone who may need it. So I offer a free 30-minute consultation to anyone who contacts my company. Now, granted, I will tell you guys right now that this is an assessment. So you're sitting there telling me what your issue is, and I'm logically going through whether my company is the right fit for you. If I find I'm not the right fit, what I also do is I try to find you the right fit for what you're looking for.
That's good. So you take it a step further.
Correct.
And you give referrals. You give referrals.
Yes, I do. So that is my offer to this audience. I call myself the affordable consultant.
That's pretty cool. I like that one. So,
because my goal is to work on what people can afford and work backwards from there. So that is what I wanted your audience to know, is that my goal is that if you feel lost in this population, maybe I can help you out.
Come, Jessica, right?
Yeah, you contact me.
Yeah, the door's open, and literally, because websites are open 24/7, to say. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming here. You gave us so much to chew on, and I hope that people do take the time to go and connect. And let's give you the website link. It will also be on YouTube videos and all of our platforms. You'll share it on Facebook page as well as our LinkedIn page as well. So there is the website. So would you like to share the website for us?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. My website is jgouldconsultation.com. So it's the letter of my first name, my last name, and the word consultation.com. And
Perfect.
all the information on what I do is right on the website. So it's pretty understandable.
Excellent. I figured you can explain it and say it and pronounce it a whole lot better than I could. So I figured I'd leave that one to you. So thank you for that. That was very well done. So I appreciate your time here. I hope we can have you back again sometime. Maybe
That would
talk
be
about one of
great.
those other unmentionable topics we could dive into today. For
That
sparing
would be
people some time.
fantastic.
It's great. So, last thing I wanted to say is I want to thank you and our audience to being here. I'm glad. I hope that you got some valuable tips from our guest speaker, Jessica Gould. And these are all help you to grow yourself and also your business. If you're starting a business or been in business for a while, if you want some business tips, career directions, like we gave you an idea of helping with the legislation, because that might be a career focus for somebody. Maybe you want to help bring more awareness to the government too about something else that you're passionate about. Let us help you figure that out. That's really what the podcast is all about. It's helping you figure out where your direction is going. So, and also bringing awareness and acceptance, because you are in a special community. But let's put it this way. You're not by yourself anymore. You belong to our community now. So you're part of a new, fresh community. And you can also be part of Jessica's community if you so choose. So there you go. So there you go. So our Choosing Acceptance podcast, today's topic was, hopefully I can remember what it is because I've just been so busy talking, but it's all about bridging the gap of understanding learning disabilities and really how to make a voice, right? How to get what you need and having a voice in there. So, and helping bring awareness to the government and different businesses, because that's really all about, that's what it's all about. So thank you so much for coming here, and I do appreciate it. Before you leave, do make sure that you actually go check out our Facebook community. We have one called Double Bears Books Membership. I also have one called Choosing Acceptance Podcast. However, I've been sending people to the Double Bears books, because I'm building a community for people with learning disabilities in that community specifically. So I really want to send you guys there, because I'll be doing more in that group before long. I've been trying to get more out there for you guys and some more information for you. So the next thing is, have you ever wondered what it'd be like to see through a dyslexic child's eyes? It can also give you an idea for what it'd be like to have a learning disability or learning difficulty. So I am the author of Double Bear's Special Problem, and this book destigmatizes learning disabilities in order to provide a better understanding of your learning process. It really helps children to overcome the fear of learning disabilities or difficulties so they can contribute their talents, and by bringing awareness of how children should be treated in and out of the classroom. Go to our Amazon. We're working on getting that book updated actually as we speak. We're also going to be pushing it into bookstores soon, so keep an eye on it. My goal is to have it up before the end of October. And definitely stay tuned for more notes about that. I'm excited about that project and more projects to come with that as well. So it has been a real honor to share all these valuable tips with Jessica Gould today. And I really appreciate our audience also, because they love to like, share, and comment occasionally. So whatever you do, it really boosts our podcast show. We appreciate you. And I want to encourage you to take advantage of that offer that Jessica give. Go and do a free consultation with you. If you ever feel like you need support, it's always good to know that there's someone there to help you. And Jessica's very understanding and helpful and great to talk with. So definitely go take advantage of her free offer. So thank you for that offer. That's a great one.
Thank you.
Yeah. And make sure you join us on our next week's episode for some great tips on how to overcome your learning difficulties and achieve success. So check out our YouTube channel, go to Facebook and LinkedIn, and we will see you all next week. And before we go, here's a word from one of our sponsors.
problem.
Sorry, Tina's very quick to announce. Anyway, so really quickly, can you tell us what I wanted to share it, but just time's sakes, I didn't. But so we can give that in the top tips of the week. I can share a little bit about, what your disability is, and then give it like a definition for it. So could you tell me what it is and define it for me?
So I have two primary disabilities and one secondary. My primary disability is actually quadriplegic cerebral palsy, which is a muscular condition. I can't walk. As a part of that and its cause and how it happened, I have mild intellectual delay,
Okay.
which is where I got learning disabilities as a kid. Reading a book, listening to a book, I can comprehend everything. But reading a book, I'm slower at it and it takes me longer. And that's where the learning disability comes in. Same thing with math. I mean, I worked very hard as, in the elementary school years and public school system to get over this. But the truth is, past algebra, my brain just doesn't comprehend math.
Yep.
So those are my two technical learning disabilities. I run on a premise of, yes, I have these, but they aren't going to be my barriers for the rest of my life. So I have learned ways around them.
Could
So
you
I
share
can
that?
still, absolutely. I went to college. I have a BA in behavioral sciences. Instead of having to read, if anyone has attempted a college book, they know they're really thick. They're like encyclopedias. But instead of physically reading the book, every single book I did for 4 years was auditory. This bypassed my reading problem and allowed me to still comprehend the information.
Love it. Yep.
When it came to the math, I had to take statistics. My worst nightmare on the planet. I pushed it to the last class of the course. I went online. So I pushed it to the very last class before graduation. This was back in 2016. Studied, went and did all the studying on the planet and I had to become okay with getting a barely passing grade. So the thing that I realized, I mean, learning disabilities makes this magnified in the person's eyes, but people have shortcomings everywhere. So not everybody's going to get that huge promotion, A plus, B plus, but it's okay to get that C minus, especially if it's a topic that you are literally struggling with. If this is your Achilles heel, worst case scenario nightmare, take the C minus and move on with your life. I mean, that's how I had to take my learning disabilities when it came to my education. And then in work and in life, I also can't spell. This is another thing. I write all the time, but the truth is I can't spell. How I got around this is I use voice dictation.
Yes. Good
So
one.
no one around me knows that when I'm writing those emails, or if you go onto my website, there's blogs. I write all that, but with my voice.
That's impressive. And actually doesn't do too many typos either. I'm really impressed. I'm a
Yeah.
typo queen. I can spell. You saw me typing on the notes, and I was making mistakes along the way, because that's the way my brain processes, what I hear and what I see and stuff like that. So if someone is dictating to me, I'm going to mess it up for sure because it's just the way my brain processes. So I'm the same way. figure things out. And I'm like you, I also did audiobooks because I found them to be helpful. Because I'm one of those, I had to see it, I had to hear it, and then I had to read it out loud. So I had to use a lot of my senses to learn. And you had to learn it slightly differently. You had to do more auditory because that helps you and so better too. And you do what you need to
Correct.
do. You do what you need to do to succeed, period, when it comes to finding the right tools and the resources
Correct.
to help you, regardless if you're at work or in school.
Correct. And that's the one thing I would like to, point out here is that a learning disability doesn't have to be the end of your world. It's
Exactly.
finding the tool that works for you, whatever that tool is, and then utilizing that. Because, I mean, what I love is that when I started, needing these types of tools, I was a kid. And so a voice dictation program when I was a child was $500 or more, called Dragon Naturally Speaking. And it took hours to train. Now, those things are built into Microsoft.
That's so cool. Yeah, I know that there's that text to
It's
speech, right? They read the text
it's
for you.
called text to speech, but like Microsoft, for example, has gotten it down to where it's actually accurate. So it's not this random thing where you're talking into it and it's picking up some random stuff. It's actually accurate.
That was actually
So,
funny when they did that, though.
oh, I know it was hilarious, but also frustrating if you were trying to get something actually done.
True.
So the one thing I can say is that like it's great that mass companies like Microsoft have taken this technology that was for the disability community and brought it into the mass market. So you don't have to pay for Dragon, naturally speaking. I mean, you can if you want. They're still around. They still exist. They aim towards college students, but you don't have to pay for this really expensive program.
That's good. So
And
this
then
is what,
wonder what are you going to do when they have their newest version,
right. But this is a good example of how bringing awareness causes changes in how we do
Exactly.
things in the community. So yeah. So that's a good example. So thank you so much. I'm going to have to end this now because this segment is actually usually pretty short and sweet, but you gave some very valid points that resonates with our audience. So thank you again for being on today's show and look forward to having you some more. So have a good one.
Thank you so much.
You have a good one. Bye-bye. My name is Marie Mason. I am the author of Bubble Bear Special Problem. And this book destigmatizes learning disabilities in order to provide a better understanding of their learning disability process. It helps children to overcome their fear of learning disabilities so that they can contribute their talents by bringing awareness to how children should be treated in and out of the classroom. If you would like more to learn about this book, then go to Amazon.com and check out Bubble Bear Special Problem by Marie Mason.